Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I know that my output here has been anything but consistent, and I'm really sorry about that, but if you didn't know, I work in retail at the moment, and so November and December are just kind of hell. So I'm sorry about that, but I did actually have enough time to sit down and watch the Game Awards, and I want to talk about them because, well, they were kind of awful. So let's get into it. Now, I know that by me saying that I thought the show was bad, most of you are going to make the not unfair assumption that I hated absolutely everything about the show and that I'm kind of an asshole. And that's not true. I mean, I might be an asshole. That's for you to decide. But there were definitely things about this show that I liked. Most of those things were announcements, which is a weird thing, I think, to say about an award show. But, like, you know, Hellblade 2 got a new trailer, and if that's genuinely gameplay, then I think that's one of the best looking games ever, at least that I've seen. I think it's really cool that there's a Wonder Woman game being made. I semi-recently became a Wonder Woman fan because of another project that I've been working on that I'll share with you guys, hopefully sooner rather than later. You know, I hope it's more like Arkham and less like Shadow of War, because Shadow of War was not what I would want from a Wonder Woman game, but whatever. They announced Alan Wake 2, which is awesome. If anybody had played the DLC for Control, they probably already knew that that was coming, but it's cool to get an official announcement. You know, I thought that Cuphead trailer with the puppets was just absolutely fantastic. I know that DLC is like probably way overdue, but I'm still excited for it. And then Space Marine 2 got it announced, which is, I think, exciting just for me. I don't know if anyone watching this cares about Warhammer, but I do, so that's exciting. And then there were some other games, you know, that I think looked really good, but we didn't necessarily learn anything new about them. Like Plague Tale Requiem still looks really good, but I don't know that it necessarily needed to be here because I don't think that it showed anything new. And it's the same thing with Horizon Forbidden West. Like, that game still looks fantastic, like it's gorgeous, and it's probably going to be a lot of fun to play. But I just don't think that we necessarily needed to see anything more from it because it comes out in like 2 months, and like I already know that I'm gonna play it, so whatever. And then there were some other really good bits that were not announcements at all. Like, I thought it was really cool that Bethesda showed up and just like gave out a bunch of codes, and then they were like, oh, by the way, we're hiring. And I definitely applied for a bunch of those jobs because I'm trying to not be in retail anymore, but whatever. So wish me luck. And then I think, honestly, my favorite bit of the show was getting to see Khalif Adams get a spotlight for his Spawn on Me podcast, because if you didn't know, Khalif Adams is an absolutely fantastic member of the video game community. Go find him on YouTube or on Spotify, I think is where his podcasts are. Spawn on Me is fantastic. If you like this channel, you'll probably love that channel because it's frankly a lot better, but you know, we're working on it. But that's sort of where the good things ended. You know, for every good announcement or good bit, there were 4 or 5 just really disappointing or bad or otherwise unnecessary segments. Like, speaking of disappointment, like in the pre-show, Atlas showed up, right? And it was like, oh, okay, that logo popped up, and me and my friend who I was watching it with, we were like, oh, does this mean like, oh, they're gonna port over Persona 3 or 4 or 5 to Xbox or PC or Switch? Like, this could be cool, this could be something good. And then they're like, hey, actually, just the fighting game that you can already play backwards compatible on the Xbox. Oops, sorry. Wow. And then like Star Wars Eclipse, right? That looked so good, right? They're showing off, I'm pretty sure there's those aliens that are playing the drums. I'm pretty sure those were the Yuuzhan Vong, which is like such a deep pull from the lore. That's like really exciting to me. The fact that it takes place in the High Republic, like that's really exciting too. But then they throw up that Quantic Dream logo and you're like, the Detroit guys? The Heavy Rain guys? The Beyond Two Souls guys? The Omicron guys? Those are the ones you want making this? Are you sure? The guys who had all the sexual harassment stuff with Elliot Page, like that's what you, all right, okay. So like that kind of took the wind out of the sails for that for me. And then like there was another trailer that popped up and it was like from the creator of Silent Hill or some shit, and then the trailer was just like really fucking not like weird, but not in like a Silent Hill way, just kind of like a gross, unnecessary way for a game called Slitterhead, which is also a terrible title. And then like Final Fantasy VII Remake had a trailer, and it's like, oh, are they going to port this over to something? And they're like, yes, the Epic Game Store. We got a lot of really weird, like, there was a Game Pass for PC ad where they announced new games coming to it, but you had to go to Twitter to find out what those games were, and then the games that they were adding to it were, like, kind of pointless. So really the announcement was that they changed Game Pass for PC to PC Game Pass, like the name of it, which is, I mean, it's a good name change, but did we need a trailer for that? Did we need a video for that? Like, all right. Suicide Squad and Forspoken got shown off, and both of those games make me less interested in them. Every single time I see them, they just look more and more cringe. Like, Forspoken looks like a weird millennial version of, like, Through the Looking Glass, like Alice in Wonderland stuff, and like not even in like a fun way. I don't know. It doesn't look like it's for me. Saints Row still looks awful, and they showed that off again. Rumbleverse, I don't even know what the hell I was looking at, but it was not good. And outside of announcements, like it was still some pretty bad stuff, right? Like they were showing off the Sonic trailer, and they brought out Ben Schwartz and Jim Carrey. And Jim Carrey, of course, because he's Jim Carrey, had to do a stupid voice and like choke out the camera and be a total freakazoid. They were having these segments with Nate Hill and Ariel, who I don't actually know who either of those people are, but that's more on me. My complaint with it is that like they didn't even have like a decent camera. Like you couldn't barely see or hear what they were doing, really. Like it just looked really low quality. It was like we couldn't have done that. Or like Deborah Wilson from Mad TV, or from Jedi Fallen Order, or whatever, probably is where you guys would know her from, came out dressed as Amanda Waller and just started like yelling at the crowd, and that was super cringe. Imagine Dragons did a performance, and like boy are they not good live at all. I mean, their rapping friend was fantastic and like almost saved the segment, but them themselves, not great. And then like, why did we end the show with The Matrix? Like, it wasn't even a game. This is a game show. Why is The Matrix here? Just a lot of really weird and bad choices. But like, just having bad announcements, or ones that don't personally interest me, as is probably more likely the case, like that's forgivable. Having bad announcements in a show is, I mean, every showcase has that, but you might notice that I haven't talked about the awards themselves yet, and that's really weird considering that this is the Game Awards. And the reason that I haven't talked about them yet is because the show, if there's one thing that it hammered home over and over and over again, it's that the awards don't mean shit. The people handing them out don't care. Nobody cares. And like, almost to the point where it's not worth complaining about the makeup of the awards or who won it. I mean, I'm going to, obviously, right? Like, okay, I think that counting licensed music in Best Music is really dumb and prohibitive, to the point where it makes it so that lower budget games don't stand a chance, because like Guardians of the Galaxy can just buy the jury members' favorite music if that was what they wanted to do, because they have the funding to do that. It's really dumb to do. I can't believe that there still isn't a Best Shooter award when 10 come out every single year, and yet we both have a Best Action and a Best Action Adventure game, even though those are like almost the exact same thing. Like if you look at the nominees for the last 5 years in those two categories, they are nearly identical with maybe one or two differences. Like, what's the point of having both of those? You know? Most anticipated is such a ludicrous award to give out, because like, not only do we not for sure know if any of those games that were nominated are actually going to come out next year, but one of them didn't even have a title. It just said the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Like, how are you going to give an award to a game that doesn't even have a title? I think cutting off which games are eligible to even be nominated for awards in like mid-November is ridiculous in the games industry, where it's very sales based. So like, all of the big publishers are going to save their bigger games until the holiday season, which is like November and December. It's why I haven't been able to put out videos very consistently the last couple months, because I work in retail and that's where all the sales are happening. So telling games companies that they can't put out their games here or it won't be eligible for the Game Awards is like, okay, they're still gonna do it, they just don't give a shit about the Game Award, right? And then like how the awards are given out, like the winners are also kind of ludicrous. Like the fact that, so like the people voting on it, right, the jury is all people from the games industry. It's like IGN and Polygon and all that. So like the fact that Cyberpunk got nominated for like 3 different Game of the Year awards, or you know what I mean, Game Awards, it didn't get nominated for Game of the Year, but whatever, it shows like how short the attention span of the jury is. Because like a couple months ago they were talking about how unacceptable and how terrible that game is, but like now they're basically like they've forgotten, and they're not only like saying that releasing the game in that state was okay, but they're now also sort of rewarding them for it, which is ridiculous. Like Psychonauts 2 got absolutely snubbed, right? The fact that like, how are you gonna give best art direction to Deathloop, which looks like this, when Psychonauts 2 was nominated and it looks like this? Like what are we talking about? Like, how is that even a competition, right? And like like my boy Tim Schafer showed up in the best suit I've ever seen and just got to wear it to get shit on, and that's super disappointing. And then like It Takes Two won Game of the Year, and it's like, that's gotta be a joke, right? Like, I understand that it's a fun game and there are people who liked it, but like, are you really trying to tell me that that's a better game than the other ones that were nominated, or even some of the ones that weren't nominated? Because it's not. I'm sorry, it's just not. Like, even its review scores are lower than most of the other games that were nominated. So it kind of ends up feeling like Jeff Keighley just gave the award to It Takes Two because his friend Joseph Ferris is like a running meme for the Game Awards, and so it's good for him to have the Game of the Year award because it's like a fun story to tell. Or like how Elden Ring won Most Anticipated, and then just like conveniently it's also the only game that was nominated that they had a trailer for. So like, oh, are we sure that we didn't just give it Most Anticipated so that we could be like, and look, it's a trailer for the Most Anticipated game? Like, okay, alright, I'm on to you. Like, but there's no point in even complaining about any of that, because nobody there gives a shit about the awards. Jeff doesn't care about the awards, the people giving out the awards don't care about the awards. It's all about the ads and the announcements. Like, to prove my point, right? In the pre-show, the part of the show that they tell you to not even bother watching, they gave out like a third of the awards. They gave out pretty much all the esports ones. They gave out esport athlete, team, coach, esport event, Games for Impact, which should have been an important one, Life is Strange one if you didn't watch the pre-show, because why would you have? Best audio design went to Forza in the pre-show. So like, clearly none of those awards matter because they were in the part of the show that they didn't even care if you watched. Like, whenever they did give out an award, they couldn't even be bothered to read the nominees. They were just like, hey, I'm on the stage to give out the award for whatever, here's the nominees, that one won. Like, that's it. That was what they did every single time. And a lot of the times, they just ran through like 5 or 6 of them in a row to get back to what was really important to them, the announcements. And it's like they ran through Player's Choice, went to Halo, Best RPG, Best Music, Content Creator of the Year, Best Multiplayer Game, Best Mobile Game, Esport Game, Family Game, Fighting Game, Sim, VR AR, Most Anticipated. Like, they just ran through all of those so fast that like you didn't even have time to care at all about any of it. Like, it's just wild to me that how obvious it is that nobody involved in the Game Awards thinks that the Game Awards are the part of the show that matters. And like, I get it. If you put up a poll and you were like, hey, why are you watching the Game Awards? Most people are going to say the announcements. But if you're going to market this thing as like, oh, we're going to celebrate the best in video games for the year, then celebrate the best in video games for the year. Don't spend the whole time doing ads and showing off announcements. Like Simu Liu, and he was scripted to do it, so I can't blame him for it at all. But he came out to present back the best action game, which he gave to Returnal, which is funny, but whatever. And he's like on his phone watching a Halo stream the whole time, and it's like, okay, so like, I know that it was scripted, so again, I can't blame Simu Liu for it, but like, you're saying that this award doesn't matter. Like, he's presenting it actively, and he can't even be fucked to care to like say it. You know, it's embarrassing. You know, they don't give the winners any time to talk and like talk about how exciting it is, or like, you know, thank people. They give them like 30 seconds, which is ridiculous. It's nothing, and most of them don't get any time. I think only like 4 or 5 were actually presented on stage in a way where somebody came up and said literally anything, and most of those felt like it was more about the people presenting the award than the people who won the award, because the people who presented it were like Giancarlo Esposito, Kojima introduced Del Toro to give out an award, so like 2 for 1 there. Ming-Na Wen gave out one, Paul George from the NBA gave one out, and it's like, some of these people aren't even related to video games. They're just here for celebrity reasons. And so all in all, it just doesn't feel like a celebration in the best of gaming, which is what it's marketed as being. It just ends up feeling like a cheap cash grab. Like, this show was 3.5 hours long, which is ridiculous. But probably 40 minutes of that was just commercials. Like, I'm not even counting the trailers and stuff, which are also kind of commercials, but at least the ones that we want to see. Like, there were 40 minutes of just commercials for like AMD and Western Digital and Amazon and Game Pass and Fortnite, and Truth had an ad about not vaping, and like Grubhub was all over the fucking place. There was even a Raid Shadow Legends commercial in the middle of this thing, and it's like, clearly this is not about celebrating video games, it's about making Jeff Keighley money. And you can tell, right? Like, most of the trailers that were in there were probably, they paid to have it on there because they know that the viewership is there. You know, there was zero ceremony given to the overwhelming majority of the awards, and even the ones that they gave some ceremony to, like, blew past so fast that you could have blinked and missed it. You know, it's just embarrassing, because it's like, it's trying to be, it's like using the skin of an award show to lure people into these advertisements. And like, some people like me want to see the awards, and other people, the majority of people, want to see the announcements. But because of the format that they've put it in, it's bad for everybody. Like, it's made worse for everybody. Because for me, the awards don't get presented. I don't get to see people come up and like talk about their games and how passionate they are, which is what I want to see. And then, because, you know, we don't have time for that, we got to show all the ads and the commercials and shit. And then the people who want to see the announcements, because you've added in all this other stuff besides announcements, like you added in all these musical numbers and, you know, the awards, like, the people who want to see that are better off just not watching the 3.5 hour show and just waiting until the next day or just later that night and collecting all the trailers, you know, watching them on IGN, where they would have been all put together, and just click on the ones that you specifically care about. Like, I don't like, this is the worst possible outcome for every possible viewer, and it just doesn't make sense to me why any of the choices made behind it were made. And then we have to address the elephant in the room, which is that before the Game Awards even started, Jeff Keighley came out and said, "Oh, I'm not going to take sides on this Activision sexual harassment lawsuit that's pending." And it's like, why, Jeff? Is it because they're gonna pay you money to do advertisements later, and you're afraid that maybe in your Dorito Pope Palace you're gonna have to not buy a second pool to put in your bathtub because you can't take this ad money? Like, and then he starts the show and he tries to like backtrack that a little bit, and he's like, abuse is bad, people should treat their employees better, but like he specifically refuses to say the name of Activision. And then a lot of the trailers and stuff that we saw are from other studios who are known to abuse their people. Like there were so many different segments coming out of Riot, or like Quantic Dream had their big Star Wars Eclipse trailer, which again probably might be a good game, but like all of this stuff, like it's just meaningless. Like he comes out and he says abuse is bad, and then he shills for these people who are abusing their employees. So like clearly he doesn't mean what he's saying. But I want to end this video on a more positive note, and so let's talk about how the Game Awards can be made better, how it can be both an award show and an announcement show at the same time without sacrificing too much of either. And I think the number one thing that you have to do is you need to actually cut down a little bit on the number of awards. If you don't think you have time to present enough of them and you're going to show them in the pre-show, then you don't think that those ones matter anyway, so why bother giving them out, right? Like, you can probably cut down on a couple of them. Like, do we really need best esport event? I don't think that anyone necessarily is going to show up to accept that award. Like, does the venue holder? I don't know. It's a weird one to give out. Most anticipated also is a weird one to come out. You know, do we need both best action and best action adventure when there isn't a best shooter category? Like, just limit the number, maybe cut it from like 30 down to like 20, and then actually give those ones some time to breathe. Number two, present every single one of the awards that you choose to keep on stage, and let the winners have a good minute to talk. Let them talk about how passionate they are about the award, about having won the award, and about the game development. You know, give them time to thank all of the people that they need to. You know, let it be like the Oscars, where people come up and they have important things to say. They want to enjoy the moment, and we want to enjoy them enjoying the moment. So let that happen. Number three, I would say you can keep the musical performances, but maybe limit it to like, you know, 2. And I would say they do like a montage of music for the Game of the Year awards, but I think that would make more sense if it was for best music, because it's a music montage. That's very minor. You can keep it on the Game of the Year if that's what you want, but like, I'm thinking maybe limit the not directly game related segments to a handful, 1 or 2. And I think, obviously the most important thing is you need to limit the ads. And I know that that's going to come as a blow, because that's going to mean that the show makes a lot less money, but you can still have them on the pre-show. You can still have the awards be sponsored and like put a logo, so it can be like, oh, and best action is being presented by Western Digital or whatever. That's fine. Like, you can do those 2 things. But just don't interrupt the show with 40 minutes of commercials. You can strip those out. And then also limit the announcements. You know, let's be honest, like 70% of the announcements in this show were kind of pointless and a waste of time, and most people aren't going to remember them because they're going to get blown away by things like the Hellblade 2 trailer, or the Horizon trailer, or Alan Wake 2. Like, no one's going to remember that, you know, Chia got shown off, because Alan Wake 2 happened like an hour before that. You know what I mean? And by the time that one was shown, no one cared anymore. I would say keep like 10 to 15 of the bigger announcements, spread them out more evenly throughout the show, because a lot of the bigger announcements I felt this year were very in that first hour, which in a 3-hour show is not great. You know, so you keep things like Alan Wake 2's trailer, maybe drop the new Fall Guys season trailer. Did we really need that? Could we show that at like a state of play or something instead? You know, all in all, the most important thing that you need to do to make this show better is cut down on the time of it. Having this show be 3.5 hours long is not good. Like, friends of mine who were watching this were watching it in the UK, and they had to stay up until like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning to watch this thing, and the last 2 hours of it were honestly not really worth watching in terms of announcements. So if I was them, I wouldn't even blame them. Like, if you're not in the proper time zone for this, I wouldn't have even bothered watching it. Like, if I was in the UK, I wouldn't have turned it on. So I would say you need to cut down on all of the different things, limit the time, maybe find a better time slot to put it in so that more different time zones can actually enjoy the entire thing without having to like kill themselves staying up super late. And then you'll have a show that's actually worth watching. But those are just my thoughts on it, and I'm sorry for being so negative. I really don't like being the bad guy in these sorts of situations, but I just thought that this show had a lot of critical problems that need fixing, because the Game Awards can and should be something a lot more special than what this was. But please let me know how wrong I am in the comments down below. Again, I'm really sorry that my output hasn't been super consistent lately, but I promise once the new year turns over, I'm gonna actually have the time to devote to this again. So please, if you like this channel, bear with me until then. Maybe share some old videos with your friends to help get the numbers up. I'm still hoping to hit 200 subscribers before the end of the year, but we'll see. And until next time, I'll see you around.